Hello, and welcome to Founder Freedom, from Hustler to CEO, the podcast built for e-commerce entrepreneurs and small business owners who are ready to work less, earn more, and scale smarter. Today's guest is Culver Van Der Jagt, founder of SinkTwice, a company that saved over 1 billion gallons of water with a simple game-changing product. If you're ready to hear how bold innovation and purpose-driven entrepreneurship and real-world sustainability collide, this episode is for you. Welcome, Culver. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks much. Can you tell us in the audience a little bit about your SinkTwice brand and what value proposition you're bringing to the world, please?
You bet. SinkTwice is a company that makes sinks that replace toilet tank lids. The SinkTwice the products save water, money, and space, and they also reduce sewage outflows. So our products usually pay for themselves in a matter of months, and they last a pretty long time. So they wind up saving families hundreds of dollars per year.
Nice. So what inspired you to create this SinkTwice product?
Well, the inspiration story is probably the best part of the whole story. In 2015, I was out teaching my daughter how to ride a bike, and she was frustrated, and I told her she could do anything she set her mind to. She put her feet down, turned around and said, "That's not true, Dad, or you would be doing something to help California from running out of water."
Mm-hmm.
And I took an abrupt turn from my then career of family law and started working really hard on novel ways to save water because it looked like California was going to run out of water.
That's pretty awesome inspiration coming from the mouth of babes. Love it.
Sometimes we learn more from them than they learn from us, and that would be one of those cases, yes.
That's a pretty awesome story. Love it.
It feeds straight into my passion on the topic. It's almost like a bet between my daughter and I on how much water can be saved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it started before SinkTwice with turn the faucet off while you're brushing your teeth in between the beginning and the end. And here we are, over 1 billion gallons saved with our production of SinkTwice.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what major challenge or gap did you see in the market that led you to get after this SinkTwice brand?
Well, I think the challenge was that we just can't do things the same way and expect a different result. We continue to build in the Western US. We continue to use more and more water, more and more electricity, and we're outstripping our resources. So there wasn't really anything out there that was changing the game. Toilets kept coming out as toilets and shower heads, and there's some modification, but in the end, it's very inadequate for the challenges that we face in terms of water supply.
Right. So describe a little bit more in detail, like what was the existing way of doing things that you felt are broken SinkTwice is helping to solve?
Super. So one thing that's interesting is that water is used once everywhere traditionally in the United States. It can be used more than once, right? So why do we supply drinking water to our lawns? Why do we supply drinking water to our toilets? It doesn't make much sense. We have to treat that water to very high standards, and it's expensive to do, and it's harsh on our resources. There's no reason why hand washing water can't be used to flush a toilet. That is one of the simplest ways we could reuse water a second time, is to wash our hands and let the soapy water flush the toilet. So that's the direction I went, and I'm glad I did.
Nice. That's really interesting. So with the overarching problem of being water supply, why does this product solve it better than some alternatives, of which I don't know anything about alternatives?
Well, there are very few alternatives out there that are repurposing water. There's some experiments, I would say, with repurposing water to water lawns, with some states are allowing that. And that's going rather well. It's not too hard to do, and it's going well. It's saving a lot of water. But your overarching, like, water stress is the question. What is it? How big is it? How to quantify it? I mean, it's a startling and super scary scenario that we're headed into. And I say that from the perspective of having helped Cape Town when they ran out of water, and Mexico City when they almost ran out of water. I've seen what it looks like. I definitely understand it. And what people don't understand, I think, is that it's getting significantly worse and a whole lot more quickly. The introduction of AI is probably the biggest impact, the biggest threat right now, because water is used very heavily in the process of producing electricity. So in order to cool nuclear power plants down, coal plants down, natural gas or even oil. They put water in there and then they use the steam that's generated in order to turn the generator and make electricity.
Right.
And that electricity powers everything we do, right? Our refrigerators and microwaves. But yes, now we have electric cars and we have laptops and a lot of electric consumption. But AI is coming out of nowhere with a growth rate that's absolutely astounding. I think all of us know that it will grow leaps and bounds as they add it to cell phones and laptops in the future. And it seems like any search anymore involves AI. But AI consumes about the flush of a toilet each time you do anything. You know, 100-word answer, which is barely what's up on your cell phone when you don't even intend to use AI, that uses a gallon of water right there. And it permanently uses it because it'll evaporate it. You don't see it. That's where that water is going to go. So when you take today's 3% of the power grid-ish that's allocated to AI, and you take this United States goal of sort of racing to the finish line with foreign countries on AI, it gets rather scary. You're talking about, well, to put it in perspective, by 2028, AI will consume as much water and electricity as 20 million homes. And that will grow even faster. So about 10 years out, it'll probably consume more than all homes in the United States. This is a big deal because it will rival our water supply when you're adding that kind of consumption of water that is evaporated, by the way. That's a really serious threat.
Sure.
So these computing systems will strip us of our water probably in the next 4 years. Water is going to get more expensive. We know that. Going to be unavailable. And the big companies are not really explaining how much water they're consuming.
Sure. So your SinkTwice is just trying to contribute to the water saving mission by recycling some of the water that we use on a daily basis. So if people are shopping at your website, SinkTwice.com, for instance, or you're pitching your product out there, what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about the SinkTwice product?
Oh, I think people in general have a hard time washing their hands over a toilet. And I think I would have to say that the older generation generally understands that water comes from the pipes, whether it's going to a toilet or going to the kitchen sink. It's the same water.
Mm-hmm.
And I do see some in the younger generation just simply don't understand that. And that's been a frustrating point.
Knowing where the water comes from, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we started the podcast out talking about how proud I am really of having saved 1 billion gallons of water over a 10-year time frame with SinkTwice. I just want to throw a quantifiable statistic out there that AI is going to consume 720 billion gallons of water in 2028. It's a fight that is really a big one. So much water, I can barely believe it.
Yeah, that is a lot of water.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of stress that's being put on the system.
So in relation to the product line, do you have like a success story or a mission success story for SinkTwice?
Yes, I think my favorite success story is probably when the LA Times did a sneaky test. I was claiming that our product saves about 30% of the water consumed in a household. And there's a few reasons that it does that are proprietary, but it's more than meets the eye when you put one of my products on a toilet. It's saving in 3 different ways. The LA Times, I think, didn't believe the claim that it would save 30%. So they did a 3-month test on 2 of our devices in a journalist's home, and they saved half their water bill.
Nice.
So it confirmed our statistic on the 30%. They, of course, have tiered water rates in LA. So it's not that they saved half their water, but they did save half their water bill. Mm-hmm. And that was enough for them to publish an article about, holy cow, this really could be a game changer for water security around the world. And that's true. It is a water security device in Mexico where water supplies are stored on the rooftops of many Mexican homes. They might have a 3-day water supply, but after adding SinkTwice in the home, it turns it into a 4-day water supply. And that is a very big increase in water security for our friends south of the border.
Yeah, that's a great success story. So in thinking about the development of your brand, what trends are shaping your industry that you see upcoming here?
I have a little bit of competition. I was pretty much the only one in the space when I came out with my product, and I have at least 19 new competitors coming from China, really. But we're still holding our price in a very competitive place. We've done that all the way through, and we are employing Americans and we're exporting. It's really unusual. As far as challenges, I would have to say that challenge continues to grow. It's sort of easier when you have a billion population to work your way through a generation of tooling than when you have a fifth of that population, because it just takes longer to get your tooling spent on product. And, I have a great idea. I have to wait till my mold is spent before I can implement it. But they get to do that 5 times faster. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. And they are the kings of reverse engineering.
Yeah. Well, they can also learn
Everything.
faster with tooling. Yeah. It's really impressive. I'll hand it to them. It's very impressive what they're able to deliver. But I do think I'm still ahead on the technology of efficiency in my space. I was kind of before they were, and learned some things that they still haven't caught on to. So I'm excited about that. I just need to keep getting my quantity up and holding that price down.
Nice. That's kind of a normal business battle. So thinking about the audience here with other entrepreneurs listening. So what advice would you have for other business owners that are looking to stay ahead of the curve in whatever it is that they're doing right now?
Goodness gracious. That's a tough question because business is hard in so many different ways and unique to each business. I think regulations can be really, really difficult, very problematic. In my space, my biggest frustration has been the introduction of AI. And we already talked about the water consumption of AI, but as difficult as that is, you've got online retailers, for example, that are running AI to read every regulation in every state and locality. And the regulators might allow your product, but there might be some reading of AI that it determines in its sole discretion, bans your product from a certain place. And those fights are generated 3 million fights a second, and you can't really keep up with it very easily. I have had to address many AI misconceptions where regulators have actually walked into the offices of these online retailers and said, listen, we're the regulator. You're not the regulator. We said we want this, and you need to put it back up on your website for our state. Us regulate. Stop doing this. That's been frustrating. I think AI is awesome, but it's a little ahead. It's a little out over its skis on sort of replacing human judgment.
Right. 100%. That's the danger of it.
Yeah.
It's how we use it, right? It's a tool.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes regulations take 3 years to get fixed.
Or more.
Humans understand it. They'll say, look, we'll fix it on the next round. Keep doing what you're doing. And I really like that about human regulators. With my product, that's been the case. And AI is tough on that topic.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially related to water, because water is such a real topic.
So I don't sound like a huge fan of AI, but I'm enormously impressed with it. But
it's a double-edged sword for your mission, for sure.
Its biggest problems are pretty much unseen.
Yeah. Well, that's what everybody's saying that understands it. That's what they're saying. So what's next for your company kind of in the near future? Like, what are you trying to accomplish right now?
Well, I'd really like to continue on my path of helping people save water. So whether it's on grid or off grid, we've got something really neat. It would be really nice for people to understand that it's the same water and it really is a water saver to wash your hands with zero water. That's a whole lot better than, let's call it a water sense device. Water faucet mandates a minimum consumption, 0.8 gallons per minute for a faucet. And so it's frustrating to me when the word water sense is equated with the word water saving, because I'm actually mathematically infinitely more efficient than a water sense faucet. And from my perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like talking about conserving gas by driving a freight truck slowly. Right. It's a silly discussion.
I know.
I'm infinitely more efficient. So a
lot of our regulations are exactly like that.
Yes.
It is frustrating. I've talked to 2 other entrepreneurs recently, both fighting regulatory issues. And you guys all together could probably sit and chat for 24 hours about the struggle. It's like, how do you move the needle? It's very difficult and challenging.
It's really in the way of innovation. There's a lot of things in the way. I think lawyers are in the way in some respects. I think regulations are in the way. The United States requirement for insurance, plus the labor costs, plus the storage fee costs, plus the mailing costs. And a lot of people don't realize that, and I'm not sure if this is really true, but up until maybe even last year, It was cheaper to mail a package from a Beijing factory to New York City than from New Jersey to New York City.
Oh yeah, I know.
Actually
I
cheaper.
noticed that.
That's not fair to U.S. manufacturing one bit. We're at
No,
every
it's not.
disadvantage, and we just keep winding up with more of them. I don't know who's negotiating these things, but
Our,
that's
our, our economy is definitely off the rails on a lot of different things right now. That's for sure.
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we're definitely seeing some impact from things that are happening right now. I would say it's difficult to say, but I don't want to hope in any one direction, but water stress is becoming a bigger and bigger issue, so much faster than any regulation or policy issue. So
Right.
I think in
Yeah.
the end, in the water saving space, I feel like I'm doing what I need to do to help everyone, help
To do your
start
part. Yeah.
North America, South America, wherever I can help.
Which is awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
from my perspective about like things about missions about what you're after is like climate change. I always think about it's like people can't see it. If they can't see it, they don't believe it. So how are they going to buy into it? Because we're very materialistic, at least in the northern hemisphere.
It's frightening. The surface water, I don't think it's more than 20% of the equation. Subsurface water has got to be 80% of the equation. And we have we're almost to the end of our subsurface water in the Western US. We're starting to in Florida and in the Western US. And we've built a dependence on something that's not renewable. And
Right.
it is frightening that it actually doesn't matter how much it rains. We can't make up for that in any given year. So we're
Right.
looking, Lakes Mead and Powell. It took 30 to 50 years to fill those things. 1938 to 1988, it was filling Lake Mead. And we have been depleting that lake since 1988, effectively, not perfectly linear.
Right.
But the demand continues to be bigger and bigger gap from the supply. And at some point, it goes what we call dead pool. And that's what happened in South Africa. And then people have a really rude awakening that water has value that's far higher than people ever dreamed.
Right. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. It's worth
I see
more.
it. I see it. I see it out there a little bit. I mean, I see it because I'm a sportsman, and especially on your side of the states there in the Western Hemisphere, with the mountains and the desert coming together, it's challenging just for wildlife to continue to exist without water.
It's certainly, so that's the trend shaping the future of our entire industry. I want to touch on taxes. I think taxes on water saving devices is a really terrible idea. I saw that in South Africa where they had a 30% tax on my water saving devices. They still wound up buying them, but it was only the middle class that could afford it. It wasn't the lower class, and that was really unfair.
Yeah, that's terrible too. May as well have been a tariff.
Yeah, it's the problem of water crisis moves around very quickly. So one year it's going to be in Mexico City, the next year it's going to be in Miami, and then it'll be in Cape Town, then it'll be in Sao Paulo. So we need the ability for global manufacturing to actually address the problem. So as difficult as it is for me to say something like, I want to say I need a little protection from foreign manufacturing, but I think that's the wrong thing to do. And it kills me to say that, but
yeah, you're for the overall mission.
Yeah, I think humanity needs water saving when it needs it, where it needs it, and that needs to have no barriers. And I think it's a specific narrow area, but
yeah, it's pretty deep. But thanks for all your insights here. So what is the best way for our listeners to get involved with your company?
Well, I've been pretty active on Facebook. I'm probably overly active on the water topic. My mind worries about it all the time. I'm happy to discuss with anybody. I think it would be a good idea to get some momentum going on a podcast of some kind to kind of get information out there. I'm not totally here to pitch a product, but buying a SinkTwice and seeing how it works and understanding gray water in general, I think would be tremendous for people to understand that water can be used more than once. Break out of that comfort level that says that has to be drinking water in the toilet bowl. That's an academic exercise. It does not have to be drinking water there.
Right.
The purpose is to flush. I think for lawns, find out how to be able to reutilize water for lawns. Maybe understand soil testing so that you don't have to water 3 times more than you would if you put a certain nutrient. And I'm not talking about fertilizer as much as just understanding what balance is appropriate.
I could go down a rabbit hole on the whole lawn thing. It's a personal peeve of mine. There's so much waste going on.
There is. And,
It's like okay, you got a lawn because you like the way it looks. Then you got to water it. Then you got to mow it.
yeah,
Stupid. It's all just maddening.
there's a lot of waste, but I believe that I'm seeing a lot of cities raise their water rates 8 to 13% per year in the Western USA. And I believe that 13% increase per year is too low, which is crazy, because when you extrapolate that, that's a very significant increase with time. But I think we're way undervaluing water in the United States and across the world. And it'll catch up, and then we'll see what those lawns cost to mow and keep and water.
Just let it go brown, people. Matter.
Hopefully, it will eventually not be worth having the lawn.
It comes back. It comes back. It's only brown for a little bit, and then it comes right back.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Well, and I do want to say this on this greater topic. We talked about what trends are facing the industry. The United States exports 500 billion cubic meters of water, virtual water, every year actually China imports, I should restate that. China 500 billion cubic meters of water. It's just such a huge amount of water that's exported with vegetables and meats and alcohols and so forth. And it does kind of look like we're coming to the end of that. If we want to keep our water in the US, we have to kind of maybe stop exporting it at the levels that we're exporting it. So
yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Very interesting, Culver. So we need to wrap things up here because the clocks are ticking on me.
Okay.
That was Culver Van Der Jagt, founder of SinkTwice. He's on a mission to fight global water insecurity with smart, scalable tech that's as practical as it is impactful. His story is proof that one person with a clear mission can influence policy, behavior, and infrastructure across borders. To shop smarter and save products from landfills, visit SinkTwice.com. And if you're a founder building boldly like Culver, reach out. Maybe you should be our next guest. Until next time, keep building with a purpose, keep pushing the limits, and keep chasing your version of freedom. Bye for now.